welcome back, everybody, to the PK Sportscast. I'm your host, John, aka that PK boy. I'm here with Knock and Caleb. How you guys doing today?
Doing great, thanks.
I apologize for the background. My PC's getting some upgrades, so we're gonna have to deal with how it is for now.
Oh man, it ain't even that bad. But no, man, I'm glad that we are back on here. I know we had a week off last week with the bye and everything, but we're back at it, man. I'm super excited to be here. So we'll go ahead and just roll right into it, guys. Kansas City barely escaped Tennessee this weekend. Thank goodness it was from a miraculous performance by Patrick Mahomes. The man went 43 for 68, 446 yards, a tutty, and one interception. But he had 63 rushing yards, and it's his second 400-plus yard game in a row. Does this make him the front runner for MVP or what? Knock, I'm going to throw this one to you first, man.
Look, let's be clear. Patrick Mahomes is easily and most definitely the front runner for the MVP, and here's why. He wasn't supposed to make the playoffs once we lost Tyreek. He wasn't supposed to make the playoffs since we lost Tyreek. He doesn't have a Stephon Diggs. He doesn't have a Devontae Adams. He doesn't have one of these premier players. Oh, who's going to get the ball? His best receiver is his tight end, okay? And yet, year after year, he continues to produce. This year, after losing the most key component, you see what Tyreek's doing down there. Tua's now throwing for 300. Tua's passing game was anemic prior to this guy joining his team. So now Cheetah's down there making it do what it do, and yet Pat Mahomes is still getting it done. And even when you take away all of his 11 receiving options that he used, 11 different receivers that he used, you take that away, he will run away from you. The only thing that you can do to beat Mahomes is get pressure on him with the front four. That is the key to success against Pat Mahomes. And Tennessee is able to do it as well as anyone because they're also able to control the clock with the running game. But you know what Pat said? He said, if you're going to take all my receivers away from me, you're going to take my tight end away by double covering him, that's fine. I'll let Pete and Jake do the work and get on down the field. He simply took over the game. He's not to be denied. Everyone knows you can't leave the man 13 seconds. He will make you pay. Pat Mahomes is easily the front runner for MVP, and I don't want to hear nobody say nothing else about
All right. Well, see, here's the difference. We're all Chiefs fans here. I'm not going to sit here and say that I wouldn't love to see Mahomes win another one, but I don't think you can say easily front runner. I think the NFL was going to do whatever it could to push Josh Allen to be MVP this year. Of course, would love to see Mahomes win another one. Also, you want to be named MVP, you got to win games like against the Jets. But then again, you look at it from that perspective, Kansas City did drop one to John's number one AFC pick, the Indianapolis Colts. So it kind of just depends on how you look at it. I do think as the season goes on, we're going to see more from Josh Allen. I don't think we're going to see too many of these little squeamish games that he had. I think this is destined to be Josh Allen's MVP year. I could be wrong. Would love to see Patty Mahomes get another trophy added to his collection, but I don't know. To say easily, Knock, I'm gonna have to disagree with that one, bro. I don't see how it's easy. You do bring up some good points, though.
I get it. Josh Allen did beat Pat Mahomes this year. If anyone was going to have an argument for MVP, I guess I could understand and entertain that it's not easily decided between Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen. But I will remind you, and I will remind the listeners, that Pat Mahomes whoops Josh Allen's ass every time the playoffs roll around. This guy wins close games. And as a matter of fact, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we're going to see what happens with the Bills next week against Minnesota. Minnesota finding ways to win close games, and the Bills finding ways to lose them. And if you ask me, we don't have a receiver in Kansas City on the caliber of Diggs. I think that everyone would say that. When we signed Juju Smith-Schuster and MVS, no one said, oh, those guys are that top caliber. Stephon Diggs was that dude with Minnesota when they had Kirk Cousins. He's that dude there where he's at now. And so I think that Josh Allen has better weapons on the outside. It's obvious. I would also say that there would be pundits that would agree with me that Singletary is as good a running back as any one of the many running backs that we use in Kansas City. Okay. I think that they would also argue that their offensive line is as dominant or more dominant than the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. With that being said, Pat Mahomes is doing a hell of a lot more with a hell of a lot less. Get that man his MVP.
I, you know what? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying on paper, absolutely, Mahomes should be winning. Just like what back to you said, we lost Tyreek Hill. Nobody was even batting an eye at Kansas City. What I'm saying is the league wants to see different things. What I mean by that is outside of Aaron Rodgers, for some reason he has multiple MVPs, and we should, whatever. But I don't. I just think it's destined to be Josh Allen's MVP year. If I don't see how we can take that away. You also got to throw Jalen Hurts in that conversation. It's a good year for quarterback play, and for Patrick Mahomes to get that, I think he would have to overachieve almost. I know that's kind of difficult to say, doing what he does, but it's a quarterback's league, and especially this year. So I don't know. We'll see. Would love Patty Mahomes to get it, but I just think Josh Allen's destined for it.
I think there's usually like three different things people look at when it comes to MVP. They look at who on paper is doing the best. Mahomes right now has the most passing yards, most touchdowns. That's an MVP, right? Some people do the eye test, which is Josh Allen. This guy's massive. He runs, he throws, he does it all. Oh my goodness. And then you've got people that say if you're winning games, you should be MVP, which would be Jalen Hurts, right? So it really could go either way. I personally think that, Mahomes, man. The guy's crazy. 400 yards 2 games in a row, and he's got more passing yards and more touchdowns than anybody. Um, it's hard to argue with that. But we do have another interesting one here. Speaking of another great quarterback here, Tampa Bay took a close win this week against the Rams, 16-13. Tom Brady goes out there. He had 280 yards and a tutty and a win. Haven't seen that in a month. Are the Bucks still? They're 4-5. Are they still a legit Super Bowl contender? Caleb, I'll throw this one to you first.
I'm gonna have to say no, and I have a feeling I'm gonna be eating crow on that. Every time I put Tom Brady out there, he's time and time again he's proven me wrong.
Your own
I,
Super Bowl pick.
yeah. He's not. He just doesn't. He looks like a shell of his former self. He doesn't look like he's really interested. His mind is elsewhere. Obviously, with things going on in his personal life. Who wouldn't that take a toll on? You're a guy in your mid 40s. You're playing later into the game than 99.9% of anybody who plays in the NFL. I think it's hard. Um, he's going through the hardest time of his life, and he does still show flashes out there. He is still able to manage games. He is still able to put together a winning drive. But as far as him taking this team to make a deep playoff run and even to the Super Bowl, I don't see it. Again, I wouldn't put money on that because Tom Brady does shut me up year after year. But I just think this year I don't think he has it in him. This isn't his year. Just doesn't look as interested as he could. I know, Knock, you said something different earlier, but he just doesn't look like he has that hunger in him. Doesn't look like he has that anymore.
I hear you. I hear you, Caleb. We
But
do have to
but
face it. Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm saying but it
Oh
sounded
no,
like there was a
no.
but in there
No.
somewhere.
There's no but. We got to face it. Look, Tom Brady's got all the chips stacked against him. The team is decimated by injuries and suspensions and all kinds of stuff. They've lost some key talent in the running back position over the last year or two. You mentioned his personal life. He's going through some of the hardest time in his life outside of work. Um, father time might be the biggest thing he's fighting. Tom keeps it shaved and he keeps his hair dyed, but if he didn't, he'd look like Doc from Back to the Future. Okay, this guy's 45 years old. He's old as hell. They call him the goat, but they should call him the Billy Goat. The man is fighting the law of physics, the law of time. itself. And you know what? Tom Brady is still going to win. You cannot count this man out. Absolutely, they're still in the hunt for the Super Bowl. Are you crazy? Kansas City was 3-4 last year, and they wrote them off. Right now, Tampa Bay is giving up 18 points a game. That's it. The offense is just a little, it's not clicking on all four cylinders. But guess what? That's an 8-cylinder, 12-cylinder machine. And once that starts pumping, they're going to start putting out 25, 30 points a game instead of putting out 8. They're actually scoring 18 a game and giving up 18 a game. As soon as they start putting up a few more points a game, they're going to go on a run. You cannot count Tom Brady out. Tom Brady's just messing with everybody. He's just chilling. He's just relaxing. He knows he can't go out there and play every game like it's his last. He's ramping up for the playoffs. Can you imagine how disinterested Tom Brady has to be in the regular season? You think LeBron's disinterested in the regular season? Tom is flipping disinterested in the regular season, okay? So just give it a minute. Tom's going to get it together. You can't count Tampa Bay out. I expect that they're going to be in the playoffs, at least at a wild card position.
As you said it, Father Time. I think Father Time's finally catching up with Tommy Brady. Listen, you can't. He is 45 years old. He can't move like he used to. I've said this before. He's joking on the sidelines, talking about he doesn't have the same arm talent that he used to. I know he may have been joking, but he's at least thinking about it. I don't know. Okay, you know what? I'll give you that. Might sneak in as a wild card. There is no way. You still think, Knock, I need you to say this into the camera. You still think Tom Brady can win a Super Bowl?
I absolutely think Tom Brady can and will win a Super Bowl. Or, excuse me, can and may win a Super Bowl. Excuse me. Tom Brady, look who's in their division. They get to play New Orleans again, Atlanta, and Carolina. They are going to go to the playoffs if they win their division. That is the end of the game. That's it.
Okay,
What are you talking about? He's going to the playoffs, man. And if Tom Brady's in the playoffs, Tom Brady's got a chance to win, baby. That's all I'm saying. Now, that's not who I chose to win the Super Bowl. It's not even who I chose to represent the NFC. But if you're asking me, do they have a chance to make the playoffs and go to the Super Bowl? Sure, they've got a chance. Absolutely. The defense is only giving up 18 a game, and they've got Tom Brady at quarterback. That's all I need to know.
Listen, Tom Brady, he gets lucky because when he played in New England, he played in one of the worst divisions in football, and now we're looking at a scenario where he is in a division. He is, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking here correctly, he is in the only division in the National Football League that does not have a winning team in the division. He's going to win that division by default, maybe, but he's not going to take it anywhere more than that.
You asked, could he make the playoffs and go to Super Bowl? He possibly could. You can't count Tom Brady out if he's in the playoffs and giving up 18 points a game. That's playoff football. He is in the worst division in the league. It's a comfortable position for Tom. This is what he does, baby. This is what he does. He's playing against Andy Dalton. He's playing against Mariota, the great Marengo hype. He's playing against guys that aren't going to be able to match his caliber. And Tom is going to get into the playoffs. And tell me one team that's going to be able to dominate Tom Brady when his defense is giving up 18 a game. He might win the game on field goals.
Man, I'll tell you guys what. It could go either way. While Tampa Bay is only winning the division through a tiebreaker with Atlanta because they snuck out that win on a BS roughing call. I gotta agree, man. It's Tom Brady. Last year, I'm sorry, 2 years ago they won a Super Bowl as a wild card team. They have just as good a chance as anybody else. So I can't count them out just yet, especially whenever they can be on top of their division under 500. So what I'll move on to, though, is a team that is actually earning a division win right now. The Eagles, they took out the lackluster Texans to improve to 8-0, which is a franchise record in Philly. Do you guys think that the Eagles are now the scariest team in the NFL? Or are we supposed to be having that conversation now? Knock, I want to throw this one to you first.
Look, the Eagles are undefeated. They're the only undefeated team in the league. They've been the only undefeated team in the league for several weeks now. Their offense doesn't look like it's found any defense that has shut it down, including Dallas when they played them. Their defense is solid. It's definitely capable. They definitely cause turnovers and control the line of scrimmage, and that's what you have to be able to do. Um, with that being said, they're not the scariest team to me, right? When I think of scary teams, I'm thinking of explosive teams, teams that can put up 30 on you in the first half or the second half out of nowhere, and that have a capable defense. I think of a team with the caliber of offense like Kansas City with the quick strike, the teams like Buffalo with the quick strike, the teams right now like Miami with the big strike. These are teams that are kind of flashy, that are kind of scary. You just don't know what you can get. They kind of have that factor like the Bengals had last year when they went on a run. That's who it kind of reminds me of when I think of scary. I think the thing about the Eagles and what is so great about them is their consistency. They're scary consistent. They actually look more like the Patriots from 2 decades ago than they do like the flash in the pan St. Louis greatest show on turf from several years ago, which is what you get in the Chiefs and the Bengals and these other teams I just mentioned. So I love what Philadelphia is doing. They're scary in the sense that they're consistent, but no, I don't think they're necessarily the scariest team in the league. Caleb, you may disagree. Where are you at on this?
I look at it a couple different ways. The scariest team? No, definitely. I don't think we can look at them and say they're the scariest team. I don't even want to say surprising. I almost said surprising, but no, that even that doesn't make sense. So from the standpoint that they are now, they are a damn good team. I did see some people saying that they struggled against listen, a win is a win. Anybody can come out with a win on any given Sunday. It doesn't matter. But to say they're the scariest, I don't know. Regular season, yes, but what's that? What's their experience going to take them into the postseason? They're a very young team. They're very set up for the future. But when it as it stands now, they just don't have the experience. And who knows? Maybe Jalen Hurts does throw a shocker, and he just goes out there and he wins everything. I don't know. I can't say that for certain. As of right now, they are the only undefeated team in the league. They definitely deserve their credit for that. But the scariest? No, I can't say the scariest. I know there are teams that right now would be more afraid of the Kansas Cities of the world, the Buffaloes of the world. I don't think you can quite put them in that conversation yet. Not to say they're not on their way, because they are on their way based on the trajectory they're in now. But the scariest in the league, I can't say that they would be.
I gotta agree with you guys. I'd say maybe the scariest team in the NFC, but I would leave it at that. Uh, so, anyways, let's go ahead and get into this, man. I've been wanting to avoid it, but we got to do it at some point. We're gonna go over the Week 9 predictions and just see how that went. So, uh, we'll go ahead and start. Caleb went in and took the point for the Kansas City game against Tennessee. Knock went in and took the game. He had the Philly score 27-24 against Houston. Marengo came out. He had a great week. He had the points for the Chargers at Atlanta and the Miami game. I came through, took Cincinnati. Caleb with the Detroit win. Knock with Jacksonville and New England. All of us were wrong and were surprised by the Jets beating Buffalo. So nobody gets a point there. Marengo then came through and just killed it again. Minnesota, Seattle. He guessed the Seattle game, even over Caleb, who thinks that they're going to be the best team ever and actually is looking like he might be right and owed an apology. I came through, got a Tampa Bay point, and then the game from Baltimore Monday night went to Marengo as well. So that brings our weekly totals. Caleb and I tied for last place with 2 each. Knock just over us with 3, and Marengo with 5. So current standings is Caleb in last place with 21. I'm in third with 26. Marengo is in second place with 32, and Knox still with a demanding lead at 39 points. So, basically all I have to say here is that, Caleb, you and I got some work to do, bud. We are behind, man. We are over 10 points behind first place. We got to start making a comeback here. But No, great week, everybody. We didn't get to recap week 8 either since we had the bye, but I just want to say Knock had a 5.5 point week that week. So really, it's just been kind of a matchup between Knock and Marengo hitting these 5+ point weeks. I think I had one, but outside of that, man, Caleb and I are just sitting at 2 and 3 a week, and that's our comfort spot, I guess.
I do want to apologize to Knock. I know I should be talking my shit right now, sitting in dead last, but there's one thing I do want to say. I remember on record. I don't know if it was on air or not. I do want to apologize because I called you crazy for saying how bad Green Bay was going to be this year, and you called that, my friend. You called that pretty well, and I didn't see that coming, but you called that, and I do say I got to owe you an apology because I was way off base with that one.
I
No
think I'll
apology
do the
needed.
same. I'll do the same, and I'm going to give some insight for everyone watching on some background stuff that happens with this show. So when we first started this show uh, in the preseason, we had done our 2 early predictions. We had all of our season standings. Well, believe it or not, the very first episode that we all recorded, there was a slight miscount on our season standings, and Knock had the Packers at 6 and 11. As of right now, you'll see that he has them 8 and 9. That was his actual count, but we had miscounted and we thought it was 6 and 11. So we had an entire show that we never released to you guys where we just joked for about 20 minutes about how
Gave me
crazy Knock was for guessing them to be 6 and 11,
that they would miss the
and then
playoffs in general. You
that
guys thought
they
I was
yeah.
insane that they would miss the
But not
playoffs.
only that, the fact that you had them over 10 losses. We said double
Yeah.
digits losses, you're crazy. We had an entire hour and a half episode you guys never got to see. And a third of it was that, right? So it's really funny that we called them crazy. And then we were like, we kind of backed off a little bit when we recounted. We saw it was 8 and 9. I was like, okay, whatever. But they're 3 and 6. I mean, if you do the math, that's on pace to go 6 and 11. So, yeah,
I
definitely.
wish I had
Apology
Marengo with me here right now.
there.
Man,
So that's great, man. Not great for me having him as a Super Bowl pick, but it is funny to see how it goes. I actually think Detroit has a better chance of making the playoffs than them at this point. But anyways, we got to move on to our next segment. So talking about games coming up in Week 10. We've got some really good ones I'm excited for. First one we'll talk about, Minnesota is going to Buffalo. Big game. Minnesota 7-1. Only loss they've taken was against the undefeated Eagles. Buffalo 6-2. Their losses were, in the division, I guess. So if Minnesota goes in and takes a win this week, even though they're 7-1, I feel like no one has talked about them as a serious contender. Is it about time that we start having that conversation? Caleb.
I think we have to have them in the conversation anyway, but we'll kind of go in depth a little bit about that later. But I think we have to start, especially if they go in here and they win this game. It's going to be hard not to. I know their presence at quarterback hasn't exactly had the best track record when it comes to postseason wins, but we have to start looking at Minnesota as a team to go. I mean, the NFC isn't as strong as could be, maybe, but we're still looking at a team that's only lost one game, and that's to an undefeated team. There is no shame in losing to a team that has started 8-0 to start out an NFL season. There is no shame in that. With that being said, come postseason time, we're only going to be able to tell what happens then. But we have to start looking at this team. I don't think. I know I sure didn't expect the Vikings to start out as good as they did. But Buffalo, they've dropped a couple of games that they should have won. I will be very, very shocked if they go into this game and they end up winning. Um, that being said, I don't think this is a team that very many people are taking seriously. Just like you had just said, nobody's really talking about it. I think there is somewhat of a reason behind that. But we're just going to have to see as the season goes on. I think this will wake a lot of people up. They go in and take this game against Buffalo. I know anybody outside of the state of Minnesota, nobody really had them winning this game. But I don't know, Knock. What are you feeling on that? You agree, disagree? What's your thoughts?
No, I'm really thinking in the same line as you are. Look, Minnesota is a solid team. And what's crazy is when you look at the stats, there isn't anything that really jumps out at you. Um, it's not
Besides their
like,
winning games.
yeah, I mean, it's not like Dalvin Cook is just lighting up the stat sheet. It's not like you can name anyone on the team other than Jefferson who is just that impactful. And Jefferson hasn't really been finding the end zone a whole lot, right? So when you look at that team, there isn't anything that really stands out to you. They certainly don't even pop like the Eagles do. And we've already said the Eagles aren't the scariest team in the league. So that leaves Minnesota definitely with something to be desired for when they look at the eye test. But what I will say on the flip side of that is they're finding ways to win games. They you put them in a close game and they're coming out with the dub more often than not. They've only lost one game. That was to the Eagles, and they did put up a fight in that game. So I think you have to take them. You have to show them a lot of respect. I love what they're doing there on the offense. I love what they're doing with Jefferson. That kid is always open, and I know he's talented, but it's also schemes that are schemed up for him. That guy is always just putting up numbers. I love watching. They're a lot of fun. But you know what I have to say? I'm gonna be honest. I think it's just really kind of like discriminatory towards Kirk Cousins. I mean, do you guys think it's possible, like, that maybe people aren't taking them seriously because of Kirk Cousins being their quarterback? What do you think?
I definitely think that's something we have to take into account. I mean, why else would nobody be talking about? I mean, you can go anywhere. No, Minnesota is making no headlines. They seem to not be anywhere. And I think you have to look at Kirk Cousins and say, is this because you are leading this team?
It's because no one wants to see Kirk Cousins gritty again. I've been saying this for like 5 weeks. No one, you gonna let Kirk Cousins gritty? No one wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that, man. Michael Scott out here killing him. Like, I don't know. I think you got a good point there, though. I had to jump in on that one, Caleb. This man said that, and I'm like, okay, maybe that is a little discriminatory, but he's looking like the Kirk Cousins of old. Like he's probably going in the tunnel after every game, going, "You like that? You like that?"
And he is one of those quarterbacks that just doesn't. He amazes me because I mean, look, he's leading a team to a 7-1 record, and yet nobody is talking to him about it. And also, what's really impressive to me, Doc, to your point that you said earlier, a lot of these are very close games. They are finding ways to close out these close games. Like they have fight in them, and I think it would be good for football to see Minnesota make a deep run. I just don't see it happening.
If Minnesota goes and they beat the Bills, that's eye opening. I think we start talking about them, and depending on
Exactly.
how they win, I think it's going to be a career defining game for Kirk Cousins. He's really at that age where his potential has worn off, and people look at him as being what he is. And so, if he's going to raise his caliber, if he's going to raise his cachet, if he wants people to look at him as a potential Hall of Famer, he's got to win. He's got to win, and he's got to win against games against other high-profile quarterbacks like Josh Allen. So, yeah, if Minnesota wants some respect, they're going to have to beat real teams like the Eagles, like the Bills, and especially they're going to have to go on a run in the playoffs. I threw you guys up a softball about Kirk. Come on, guys. Hell yeah, we know that's exactly why teams do not respect Minnesota. It's because of Kirk
Listen,
Cousins. Look, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me.
no, no,
Tell
no.
me your
I'm just
thoughts.
saying.
Tell me how you really
I
feel
didn't.
about
I
Kirk,
didn't.
because you
I
had a
didn't want
lot
to
to
go in
say.
like that.
Yeah, you had a lot to say before we started this. You were really going in, and I
Listen,
tossed you a
listen.
softball, and you just let that one go. So I'm gonna throw you one
You
more.
you you brought it up. You brought it up. Yes. All right. I didn't even say his name prior to you doing it. I was so scared to. Wasn't scared. I just didn't want to offend anybody. But since you said it, yes. The reason they are not being talked about right now is because of Kirk Cousins. He has not had a great track record in the postseason. So to your point, yes, you're right. I did say that before we opened up here today. But that is 110% the reason why. I y'all laugh, but you
So,
can't.
so are you saying that you just think that Kirk Cousins is like, no matter what he does in regular season, he won't be able to get it done when it matters? Is kind of what you're saying. Like
That's
he is,
exactly what I'm
like he's
saying.
the Josh Allen of the NFC.
That's a lot of credit.
Oh,
That's a hell of a lot of credit.
Okay,
Josh
sorry. Let
Allen
me
gets to AFC Championship games.
once.
So
he's still been there.
Didn't Kirk do it with the Vikings too? Or no, they had Case Keenum playing for
That
him.
was
That's
Case
what it
Keenum.
was.
That wasn't.
Yeah, no, okay, never mind. I was thinking of when Diggs threw the helmet and shit. I was like, maybe Diggs is the reason either of them motherfuckers went, but never mind. I'm wrong.
Ooh, that was a mouthful there, John. Ooh.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. Okay, fine. Kirk Cousins is like the less talented Josh Allen, I guess. Like in the playoffs, they're the same person, right?
Okay, I can accept that. I can accept that.
look, I know hardcore Minnesota Viking fans, two of them. They love their team. They hate Kirk Cousins. They want to
Oh, is
draft
that
somebody immediately.
even with their team sitting at
And the
only one
reason why
loss
is
on the year?
because Kirk, and I'll tell you what, I like Kirk Cousins. I joke around. I know I'm kidding here, but I actually like Kirk Cousins. I think he has an opportunity to prove something in big games that I'm rooting for him. I'd like to see him do well against not only in the regular season, but also in the playoffs. So I'm hoping to see a good game this week whenever Minnesota matches up against Buffalo. I think it has an opportunity to be the game of the week. You got a 7-1 and what is that, 6-2 team in the Bills. So
7-1, 6-2, yeah.
yeah, I mean, this is going to be a great game to watch. Hopefully, it kind of lives up to the hype. So let's see what Kirk does. I'm willing to give him a shot.
Yeah, I mean it's a big impact for either playoff picture. Either way you look at it, it makes a big change in the playoff seating for either team. So uh, big game. I agree. Last thing I'll say about Kirk Cousins, I feel like at least the reason I've ever criticized is because the man's got a massive contract, right? The man gets paid. He gets paid. So the fact that they're 7-1, he's earning that money right now. That's great. Jefferson helps a lot. He's got Thielen still. Those guys are balling. This is like kind of like you said, statement for his career. If he can go out here and do this, maybe he can say he earned that money. So I will say I'm rooting for Minnesota, not just as a Chiefs fan, but as a
Last thing
just
I'm going to
football
say
fan.
regarding Kirk Cousins, he has only won one playoff game ever. That's the only thing I'm going to say.
Ooh. Okay, well, that's tough. Moving on to the next segment. I think that's a good closer.
He dropped the mic.
Another big game. Yeah, another big game this week, though, man. We got Dallas going into Green Bay, and I think it might be time for him to get some revenge, man. We all know Packers are having kind of a bad year, but Rodgers is 7-2 against the Cowboys, 2-0 in the playoffs. Would a loss this week for the Packers put a nail in the coffin of their season? Would that tarnish Rodgers' legacy? Kind of a two questions in one here. Knock, I'll throw this one to you first, man. What do you think?
Look, the Packers are who I thought they were.
I
Okay,
knew that was
the
coming.
Packers are trash. I said in my too early prediction, the Cowboys would go into Lambeau Field and beat them 33-20. I couldn't have chosen a better score. Dak Prescott's going to go in there, light them up. The defense is going to give up a little bit in the first half, but then they're going to clamp down. It's going to be, and they may not score 20. The Packers may not score 20. This is going to be a bloodbath in Lambeau. Let's go, Cowboys.
But what I guess like nail in the coffin of the season, sure. Sounds like
It's
you're
over.
pretty clear
I'm
on that.
sorry. Yeah, it's
What?
over for. It's over. I'm sorry. It's over for them. It's over for them. They have no shot at this season. If they lose this game, they clearly are not capable of competing against any of the best teams in the NFC. I believe that Aaron Rodgers leaves. His legacy is going to be definitely tarnished. It's going to look worse than when Big Ben left, losing there with the Steelers a couple of years ago. Aaron Rodgers hasn't won since ever. His best years were on the best years for Aaron Rodgers' career. I guarantee you were had on the Madden video game of everyone at home playing in their fantasy franchises because Aaron Rodgers has never lived up to the hype that they give him. He's a bad man that hasn't really won shit. So unless he turns it around, a la what they're doing in Tampa Bay, I believe, they're not going to have a shot because he doesn't have a defense like that. He doesn't have the options that they have, and he doesn't have the coaching that they have down in Tampa Bay.
Okay, I even okay. So yes, the season. To answer your question, yes, the season's done. Regardless if they win or lose, season's done. It's the Packers. This season they might as well just shut it down and go home. Dallas, I really think Dallas is going to come in here. I don't even think this is going to be a game. I think Dallas is going to, I don't want to say annihilate, but I think this is going to be a 2-score game. Whatever you want to call that, annihilate, whatever.
Molly
But for his leg, yeah, we'll go with that. For his legacy to be tarnished. Yes, I get he hasn't done anything in quite a while. Would we still be having that same conversation if they would have beat the 49ers in the championship game a couple years ago? I'm just saying we can't. I think
Yeah.
we're talking about recency bias. Yes, he's been ass. He hasn't done anything. We're talking about a quarterback that he's been in the Pro Bowl 10 times. He's 4-time first All Pro. We're talking about a Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP. He's got 4 MVPs under his belt. Yes, would this be? Would this be a bad look? Yes, but I don't think it's fair to say to him that it would tarnish his legacy. I mean, the man's not everybody can beat Tom Brady. I mean, he is 38. He turns 39 here within the next month. Yes, he is getting up there in age, but not everybody is Tom Brady and can play until they're 87. So it's difficult. It's difficult for me to say. I'm not gonna trash you for your opinion. I'm not doing that. But to say that his legacy is going to be tarnished after a game like this or after a season like this, to me, I almost feel like that's unfair. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I think he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know how.
You're insane.
Yes, I don't see how you can't put him in a first ballot Hall of Famer.
You are eating the crap that the media has been shoving down your face your whole life. You just said it yourself. He's won 1 Super Bowl and he's got 4 league MVPs. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This guy is the guy that everyone thinks is so great that hasn't won shit. I'm pretty sure he won a Super Bowl with his predecessor's team. The guy hasn't won shit. That's all I'm saying. I've seen guys win a hell of a lot more with a hell of a lot less than what they've got there with the Packers. The Packers have no problem bringing in free agents. The Packers have no problem having the entire league and the media behind them, okay? They are one of the Plymouth Rocks of the NFL. Aaron Rodgers has constantly and consistently underwhelmed in his career unless you have him in your franchise on Madden, okay? The guy hasn't won a damn thing. And I think it's interesting. We were just talking about Tom, and you guys are ready to write Tom off, and no one's talking about how he's 40 flipping 5. No one's talking about how he's doing so much with his age. But look what Aaron's doing. Aaron is underachieving. Aaron should be able to put people on his back and carry him if he's that dude. First ballot Hall of Famer, please.
First ballot Hall of Famer. Like I said, not everybody can beat Tom Brady.
He will get it. Oh, he'll get it, but he don't. I just don't see him that way. I believe that Ben Roethlisberger was a better winner than Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that I can agree with. That I can agree with. Big Ben, better winner.
Aaron Rodgers is not a winner like that. That dude just puts up numbers.
He does put up numbers. He does put up empty stats. I'm not going to lie about that.
He's like the Chargers at quarterback.
And I will say this though. I want to actually chime in on this one. I feel like we can't keep comparing everybody to Tom Brady because there's not a lot.
Why not?
That's what I'm saying.
Hold on, no, let me finish though. There's only one Tom Brady. There's one Tom Brady. So for us to all sit here and say, well, he's not as good as the best quarterback we've ever seen in the fucking history of the sport. Like, that's like, damn, can we talk about who gets the silver, who gets the bronze?
No, that's exactly what happens. This is sports. It is what it is. You get compared to the best of your era. That is the way it has always worked. You don't compare eras, but you compare players within that era. That's how you stack up for the Hall of Fame. That's how the votes stack up.
I get that,
but I'll always be compared to Aaron Rodgers. He will always be compared to Aaron Rodgers. And that Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Drew Brees is going to suffer from that, and a lot of other quarterbacks are going to suffer. Peyton Manning is going to have to suffer from that. That's just the way it works.
That's fair, but I'm saying, like, just because someone's not as good as the best guy, does that mean that they can't go in the Hall of Fame? And I'll make my point clear. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is necessarily a first ballot. I think it's close. I think he's got these last couple years of his career to prove it. A first ballot, like a unanimous decision, that's tough. sorry, Caleb, I know that hurts. If he were to come out and get to a couple more NFC championships at least, win some playoff games, maybe. But like, I don't think that, for 24 seasons, 23 seasons, Tom Brady can basically just say no one else can be a first ballot. That's like saying the same thing in the NBA about anyone who played in Jordan's era. They maybe didn't get championships, but they still made it into fame, right? Hall of
Oh,
Fame.
yeah. I think he's definitely going to the Hall. He should be in the Hall. If Aaron Rodgers isn't in the Hall of Fame, who the hell is? Okay. I'm with you on that. Just saying first ballot Hall of Famer, to me, it's just not as much of a slam dunk as I know it is. I know the take that I have is him not being a first ballot is I'm the crazy one, not Caleb. Okay. Caleb clearly is with the majority. But with that being said, Aaron Rodgers is also playing. He was one of the first players to come in and play in a league where you can no longer touch quarterbacks. Okay. And he's still not as good as Brett Favre was up until that era. And Brett Favre went through hell and back to stay in the league. We all know it's very documented what he put himself through to stay in the league. And Brett Favre was having magical games in Minnesota when he was 3 years older than what Aaron Rodgers is right now. So all I'm saying is that he's just not a winner like that. He doesn't captivate me like that. I feel like he's a product of the league. He's a product of the media. And don't get me wrong, he's cold with it. He's nice, but he's just not that dude. He's not that dude. I mean, I'm sorry, Marino had to deal with the Montana talk. It is what it is because he wasn't a winner like that. And it's messed up. Barkley has to deal with the Jordan talk and the Karl Malone talk. It is what it is.
Because they're the same as Rodgers. They didn't finish it. They didn't finish it.
That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
I'm being respectful. I'm not saying that he's not Hall of Fame caliber. He absolutely is. He is really cold. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. But is he that dude that I feel like everyone puts him like Tom Brady then Aaron Rodgers and Peyton on the same neck and neck? No, hell no. Hell no.
Peyton, no, not on Peyton. But no, I agree. I think back to the original question, this season, I think maybe doesn't ruin his entire legacy, but it damn for sure tarnishes it. Just like how, you guys are talking about how he's not winning a lot of playoff games. It was tarnished for me whenever he got knocked out by Jimmy G. Getting knocked out by Jimmy G when you're supposed to be during an MVP year. Yeah. I don't know, man.
I give that credit to Patrick Willis, but I see your point.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, either way, I think that if you're
team in San Francisco.
I guess I'll say this: a first ballot Hall of Famer, because I do overall agree with you, Knock. A first ballot Hall of Famer should be able to make it work. If you made it that far, you should be able to make it work, right? I mean, like we just watched the Chiefs game on Sunday night, right? Mahomes pulled that out of his ass. Let's be honest. The rest of the team was not playing well, and he did some MVP shit.
He's a winner, and it's not the first time that his legs went ape shit on Tennessee.
Yeah. And Aaron Rodgers, sure, maybe doesn't have the mobility at 38, but I mean, 9 points against Detroit, and we're talking about Dallas right now. They're gonna beat the dog snot out of these guys. I mean, if you're a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback, Tom Brady would never. Tom Brady has had way worse teams. He was throwing to a fucking rugby player or whatever. Not even rugby. What was he? He played fucking lacrosse. Chris Hogan. This dude's winning championships with Chris Hogan, Wes Welker, and fucking Bobby Boucher.
I'm sitting here. I'm holding my tongue. I'm like, Caleb, did you not hear the shit that was being talked by you about Russell Wilson and what he's going through? But you're so easy to criticize him. He's won as much as Aaron has.
Russell Wilson's been to more Super Bowls than Aaron.
But yet we're so critical on one, but not the other. Same era. Now, I know he doesn't pass out. He doesn't throw the pretty passes. He doesn't get all the quan that Aaron Rodgers gets. But all I'm saying is that we have to judge them both equally. Aaron Rodgers is just not a winner like that. We have to admit that.
So when you say not a winner, are you talking in the sense of just harder working? What are we?
In the sense
I think
of
we're
hardware.
talking about playoff wins.
I'm talking about hardware, baby.
Okay.
And you get hardware when you start winning AFC and NFC championships, and when you start winning Super Bowls, you get hardware.
I will say in that aspect, yes, Aaron Rodgers should have more hardware. He should. I still, with that being said, how you can say not a first ballot Hall of Famer, I don't know. I guess agree to disagree. I don't I don't
think
know how you can say that.
I think there should be a 2-chip policy on first ballot Hall of Fame. No, I'm joking.
Nah.
Especially a quarterback. No, I'm fucking around.
That's a tall order right there.
I'm just saying 13 seasons and you haven't been to a Super Bowl since what, your second? You've been to the play.
That long?
You've been to
Wow.
you've been to the playoffs 9-10 times.
That's what I'm saying.
But you've only been to a couple championship or NFC championships.
Look, just because you've
been
been playing with him since you were 8 years old on the sticks, and he's been rated 99 or 98 every single year, it's stuck in your head that he's that dude. But I'm telling you, when push comes to shove and you're looking at it, if we're going to hold other quarterbacks accountable for the Brady standard in this era, certainly we have to add Aaron Rodgers to that.
Oh, I'm not saying I'm not holding him to that. He has underperformed in critical moments in his career. I'm not denying that. It's more of to me, first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm not even thinking about it. His accolades. I think to me they speak for themselves. I know. I go back to that. You laugh.
No, I'm laughing because I know I'm the one that sounds crazy here. I know anyone that's listening to this right now is like, "What the hell are they talking about?" If Aaron Rodgers isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, you're crazy. So I'm with you on that. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But I also think that he's just been a media darling for a long, long time.
yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens this weekend, guys. I think we all agree that the season for the Packers is over. I will say this to close it out. If Aaron Rodgers can even manage to make the playoffs this year, maybe I'll lean more towards your side, Caleb. But as of right now, I just don't see it. And they're my Super Bowl pick, and I'm disappointed. So, with that said, I think we should just go ahead and let's talk about some of these games coming up this week, man. So, let's see what we've got on the good old predictions list. We'll start off Jacksonville at Kansas City. Not really much to say here. Everybody here went with the Chiefs, including Marengo, and it's not even close. Marengo's got it 52-10. That's funny. So, yeah, we'll see how that ends up going. Let's see. So we've got Atlanta at Carolina is our Thursday night game this week. I really wish Marengo was on because he and I were both he was so big on Atlanta. I was so big on Carolina. This is the Dookie Bowl. This is the toilet bowl right here. So let's see what happens on Thursday night. Big implications. Atlanta is technically in a tiebreaker for the division at 4-5 right now. So we'll see how that goes. All I know is the guy who's making these Thursday night games might need to reassess.
They need to fire him immediately. Because these Thursday night games, it's been awful.
I think that they're like saying what Knock was saying a few weeks ago about the Indy Denver. I think the guy writing it was like, I'm so tired of being exhausted on Friday mornings. I'm going to just write up all the worst teams on Thursday nights so I don't have to watch them. Maybe that was the thought process. We got Seattle at Tampa Bay. We all have Tampa Bay picked for this game, but I will say Seattle is looking like they should be the favorite in this one, right? I mean, it's Tom Brady, but Seattle's 6-3, so we'll see what happens. We already talked about Minnesota at Buffalo. I'm the only one who went with Minnesota. Everybody else went Buffalo. I'm really interested to see what happens there. Detroit at Chicago. Actually, no. Caleb's the only one who went Chicago. Everyone else went Detroit. That one can really go either way.
I was going to say, that's a toss-up at this point.
Yeah, Justin Fields just had an insane week last week. Let's see if he follows it up. I'm actually very interested to see this game, even though it doesn't really make a huge difference. I guess either team could pass Green Bay with a win here. So Cleveland at Miami. We all went Miami. Not much to say there. Houston at the Giants. We all went Giants, even when we thought they were going to be bad. New Orleans at Pittsburgh. Marengo's the only one who went New Orleans there. That is also kind of a toss-up game. Denver at Tennessee. I'm the only one who went Denver because I live here, and I think that maybe as much as I told y'all I wasn't believing the hype, I believed it I thought they'd be over 500. I thought they'd be over 500. I thought they could beat Tennessee. If I could change anything so far as I'm reading these off, I would definitely say Tennessee should take this game, even with Willis passing for 80 yards. I mean, Denver's just garbage, but they're coming off a bye week. We'll see what happens. Indianapolis at Vegas. We all picked Indy. Maybe they still win. Vegas is fucking garbage too.
They
So I
are
don't know.
garbage, and y'all gave me hell for having. I don't even know how many wins I had
I
them before
didn't
when
because
we
I
picked
have
this.
them. I had them. I had
Four
Vegas
and
horrible.
13, both of you. Both of you had them
Yeah,
4 and 13. I remember giving you guys both
yeah.
craps. So they're 2 and 6 right now.
That's right, Caleb.
So
We had him
It's on
pegged. We knew
pace.
it.
That's right.
We knew it.
That's right.
yeah, I had them. I had them bad, but man,
Dude, they look horrible.
They do.
Horrible. And
Yeah,
a lot of
like
those games, they could have won. And they're not. They're losing some of these games at the last second on the
yeah.
last drive. Like it's horrible. For if you're a Raiders fan this year, I sincerely apologize.
I had them 4-4 at this point in the season. I thought they'd be like, but no, they're just,
Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Dallas and
wow.
Green Bay. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything else on that one?
No.
Dallas to Green Bay. We already kind of talked about that one, but Caleb was the only one who has Green Bay picked out there. So I guess, easy wins for all of us that are the only ones picking a team to win, but we'll see what happens. Arizona going into LA to face off against the Rams. We all picked the Rams, but honestly, that's a toss up too. I thought those were two of the playoff teams in that division, and neither of them are in contention. Matter of fact, they're 3-5 and 3-6. This is kind of a garbage bowl game, but we'll see. If Seattle falls off moving forward, maybe one of these teams can sneak in. Chargers at San Francisco. I'm very surprised by this, actually, that we all picked San Francisco to win this game, considering we all thought Chargers were going to be really good this year. But here we are. I actually don't think I want to change that either. I think that San Francisco probably might win that game, even with Jimmy G. Washington at Philly is going to be our Monday night game this week. No surprise, we all picked Philly, and that was before we knew they'd be 8-0. I suspect that they will continue and go on to be 9-0. Did you guys have any changes in there that you expected, or kind of all lined up? I thought.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm looking at it like that first game, the Falcons and Panthers. I had the Panthers dominating, but it looks like, I probably would have a much closer score. I have it 34-23. Definitely would have it a little closer. The offense with Carolina isn't clicking like I thought. I thought also that they would have McCaffrey. So that changes things for sure. But what I want to say is I'm looking at it, and there weren't any really big games that I'm just like, oh, I got to see that, other than maybe the Vikings Bills. Obviously, we're going to watch the Chiefs. But what I do notice and I want to point out is this is like a major week. Like, the trade deadline's over, guys. These teams are who they're going to be. Who you have, that's the team you're rolling with into the playoffs. And I really feel like this is one of those weeks where we're going to see what teams are for real, what teams have a real shot, and then kind of what teams are going to start packing it in and maybe even start throwing some games to get themselves in a position to get a quarterback or another high-end, pass rusher or something like that. So when you're looking at something like this, you're looking at, okay, are the Seahawks for real? Are they going to beat the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay and then go to like 7-3 or something crazy, right? Or is Tampa Bay going to win that game and make a run back, right? Are the Vikings for real? Can they beat the Bills? Are the Cowboys going to be able to dominate in Lambeau Field against the Packers and continue on that streak? So I'm seeing these games and I'm thinking there's a lot of opportunity for there to be kind of pivotal moments. And I'm really looking forward to see which way these teams are going. What about you, Caleb? What are you thinking?
I was you brought up damn near everything that I was thinking. I don't think I know I have Seattle doing the best out of anybody. I don't see them going into Tampa Bay and winning that game. I just don't see that happening. But
Wow, I'm really surprised. You have Seattle 5-4 right now, but that's actually pretty damn close. They're 6-3. They're doing better than even you thought.
I don't see that happening. What I'm surprised about is I want to go back to that Texas and Giants because wasn't I the one that said what did I say about New York teams beginning of the season?
Shouldn't exist.
Yes, that's exactly what you said. They should not exist. They were horrible.
I have went back on record saying I apologize for that. So sorry, New York fans. I might have got that one wrong. What I was surprised about is we all had the Giants beating the Texans before we knew how decent the Giants were going to be.
Because it's the Texans.
Yeah.
We all knew how bad. I think
It
that's
was
more
supposed
just.
to be the Giants.
I think that's more knowing just how terrible Houston is.
Look, guys, it's simply a matter of quarterback. Think about it. Who's the quarterback for the Texans? What?
Mills,
Okay. Who's the quarterback for the Giants?
Jones.
Danny Dimes.
Honestly,
You got a nickname at least. It's Danny Dimes, okay? You got a nickname at least. I mean,
knew that.
you didn't know who the quarterback was going to be in for the Texans before the league started. When you started playing Madden is when you realized who the damn starter was for the Texans. No one knew. We thought it was Adrian Foster or something. Come on.
If anything, the reason I'm so far off on how the Giants are doing is because of Danny Dimes. So don't think that that's why I put him over Houston. I put him over Houston because it's fucking Houston. Their whole organization is trash. No one wants to play for them. Half their players come out on Twitter talking about how they're going to come out and expose everything. Dude, the Texans are the worst team in the entire league. I think they should relocate. They got to move. They need to go to San Antonio or something. But they're done.
Ooh.
They're garbage. They're like, as an entire organization, they can't do it with D Hop. They can't do it with nobody. They can have Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Randy Moss, Jordan, Justin Jefferson,
J.J.
Cooper
Watt.
Kupp, all of them. They can't do shit. They're terrible, and that is why I have New York over them, no matter what.
You might as well have thrown Jesus Christ in there, not being able to do anything with him either.
I'm pretty
Goodness.
I am pretty sure I have Houston only winning a game this season against Jacksonville, and it's for the same reasons, because it's Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like the Raiders.
And one thing I do want to bring up, I think it was you, John. You said you had never heard of the Texans starting quarterback. I want to say it was like week 2 or 3. You said, I have never heard of Davis Mills. One of you said that. I don't remember.
I did. I know I did. I definitely did. I didn't know. I thought I was like, General Mills. Isn't that a cereal? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know. Like, this is like, what the hell? No, they're bad. They're bad. They're bad. Yeah, like I said, I don't care who they acquire. Like, all they will do is upset somebody. I get more interested in the Texans and like the juicy Twitter beef stuff. Like the players, like Brandon Cooks comes out and he's like, I've been quiet for so long, I'm gonna expose y'all. I'm like, that's what the Texans are known for me. I'm like, between them and the Astros, I just believe Houston has some really problematic sports organizations. At least the Astros are winning while they do it. I don't know. It's just yeah. Not because of Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes. Anyways, moving on, we're gonna make a hard pivot from NFL over to NBA. We had a bye week, so we didn't talk about the beginning of the NBA season. But yes, we are also an NBA show. So a couple of things we want to talk about today. We'll go ahead and start, man. All of us here like the Lakers. They're not my number one team, but I do enjoy watching the Lakers. But they're dog water, man. They're having a tough start, man. They're 2-8 to start the season. A lot of drama surrounding Russ getting moved to the bench and new coaching and LeBron. Who's to blame for the Lakers being so bad? Caleb, I want to throw this one to you because I know they're your team.
I don't even know where to start. It's got to start with management somewhere. Last year, throughout the years, LeBron has had he's had good teammates, but whenever these teammates don't perform, then it's LeBron gets all the credit, then the third guy kind of gets kicked in the ass. Like, look at a Kevin Love, look at a Chris Bosh. Those kind of guys always got looked down upon whenever a LeBron-led team did not win anything. Unfortunately, Father Time is catching up with LeBron. Last year, the saying really was, it's all Russ Westbrook's fault. Yes, he had the worst shooting season of his career. He couldn't throw basketball into the ocean last year. And that was the same case how it started out this year. Last year, Anthony Davis, I know y'all laugh. It's true. I can't even laugh at that. Being I'm also a big Oklahoma City Thunder fan, so it really hurts me as a big Russ fan to see that this is happening. But last year there were multiple injuries. AD, I think, played like a third of the games possible. But this year, there's no chemistry. There's nobody can shoot. You have LeBron out here shooting 12 threes, maybe making two or three. AD can't shoot. I don't know what happened to his shot. Russ, he finally he said this somewhere. It is kind of a kick to his ego that being moved to the bench, but he's played well off the bench. He just shot. He had a game. I want to say against Utah. He shot 2 or 3 from three. I want to say he shot north of 50% overall. He had 22, 5 and 3. He's embracing this new role very well, and yet the Lakers still can't capitalize on anything. They're 2-8. How do you win 2 games out of your first 10 with this team? I know LeBron's been sick. I know his body language. He just looks tired. He just doesn't look interested. I think he's out there right now specifically to get the all-time scoring record. At least that's what his body language looks like. He's out there chucking threes. He doesn't care. Um, I don't know. I don't know who to blame it on. The coaching staff finally did move Russ to the bench for the first time really in his career. Other than that, I don't know what's wrong. I can't diagnose. They don't have any shooters, but overall, I would think they're better than a 2-8 team. I don't know, guys. What are you thinking?
I'm going to tell you exactly what the problem is. It's definitely not LeBron James. It's definitely not the GOAT. It's definitely not the greatest basketball player to ever lace him up and get on the basketball court. It's definitely not the best field general that this generation's ever seen. I can promise you that. It's definitely not that man, King James. Are you crazy? Watch your mouth. Okay? LeBron James is that dude. I'm gonna tell you, LeBron James doesn't. Against all of the media and everyone else, they think that LeBron James is in charge of everything with the Lakers, but that's just not the case. LeBron James does not choose the head coach. LeBron James does not choose and sign contracts with each and every player there. LeBron James doesn't choose any of that stuff. I'll tell you who does, and I'll tell you who's responsible for it. Rob Pelinka. Okay, Rob Pelinka is the one that's to blame for this. He's the general manager of that team. He's the one that has orchestrated all of this, and it's not working. It's backfiring. That's the person that needs to be held accountable for this. And now everyone wants to always point the finger at Bron when Bron hasn't done anything but deliver finals appearances like he's the mailman himself. Okay. I want you guys to realize that there's other players on that team that making Bron kind of money and moves. AD has been a disaster since he's got there, just as bad as Westbrook has been. And in addition to that, with everybody that they bring in there seems to fall off. And you can't put that on LeBron. He's not shooting for these guys. He can only deliver and dish the ball. And when they have won in those 2 games, who carried them? LeBron carried them. So with that being said, Rob Pelinka needs to get his shit together and start putting some real talent out there so we can have some showtime again in LA.
I don't think you can. Yes, you could put it on Rob Pelinka. You could put it on Bus. There has to be a point in time where players on the court have to do something different. They have to deliver. The managers aren't on the court. Managers aren't on the court. They can't go out there and do anything. At some point, it can't be manager's fault. Yes, I know management. They have been as the president of arguably the most storied basketball franchise. I know the Celtics exist too. Don't get me wrong there, but the Lakers, they are a storied franchise. Management, Jeannie Buss, this is a bad look for her and Rob Pelinka. You have to figure this out because they are they're 2 years removed from winning a championship down in the bubble. And they went from that. They dealt all their pieces. Kyle Kuzma's gone. Uh, KCP is gone. They had Danny Green. He's gone. They had shooters around them, and I think that's what worked. Where I think it all went wrong, they traded away. They got rid of all of these pieces that they had, key pieces to a championship team, and replaced it with a mini, less efficient version of LeBron James and Russell Westbrook. I hate saying that, but I think that's why they're struggling so bad last year and then to the start of this year. You had a great chemistry with those guys that left, I know they're not as big names as LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but it worked. This whole thing with Russell Westbrook, even moving to the bench and he's playing now, the chemistry's broken. And I think that's why just a combination of things coming together. And I think all that is the Lakers we're seeing today, and they're doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, but whose fault is that? Whose fault is it? If we're going to put the blame on somebody's table, who gets the blame? It's not LeBron. He can't play for the other 9, 12 guys on the team.
You mean to tell me an AD, LeBron, and Russ led team should not be more than 2-8? Those three
in
should be
2007.
better than that.
Listen, here's the issue. Okay, AD won a college championship in like 12, so like yeah, damn sure not 07. But
he was better. He was better he was better in high school than he is right now.
No, I'm just telling. I will say this because we didn't talk much about him. I agree with both of you. It's all of their faults. That entire organization is in shambles. I will say LeBron is not having a great season. His 3-point percentage is like under 25%. He's just kind of jacking shit up. I think he wants to beat Kareem's scoring record because he's tired of Kareem talking shit on him in the press and stuff. But I think that the main issue definitely stands with Pelinka and the players because Russell Westbrook's on a $206 million 5-year contract, and he's coming off the bench. Okay,
I didn't even want to bring that up.
Last year he was shooting like what 29% or something. Okay, and then you have AD, aka availability deficient, a disappointment. He could be a lot of different ADs out there. Guess what? He's on a $190 million 5-year contract. So you've got around $80 million this season on average. I don't know exactly what their hit is on this year, but around $80 million on average is being spent on a guy who's not playing and a guy who's coming off the bench. And you got LeBron out there at fucking 57 trying to do everything on his own. Of course he's jacking up shots. Of course, you know why he's going. You know why he almost got a scoring title last year? Because it's the only way that the Lakers could even come 5 games short of making the playoffs. Because LeBron's out there.
He wants to pass it, but he doesn't have anyone to pass it to.
So I'll say the beginning of this season he is not playing very well. But when $80 million in cap space is being held up on people that aren't even helping, I mean, dude, how many like B-list, C-list players can you get to support him? Like a real support player, like you need some. Like at least they went and got Pat Bev, right? They're trying to get other role players.
And what's he doing?
Hey, man, look, it's Pat Bev. We know what Pat Bev does. I'm just saying $80 million held up on 2 people that ain't doing shit.
And you look at what Utah's doing. Utah's balling. They got nobody. The Lakers can't win a game. You look at teams like the Golden State Warriors. They're deep. This is clearly an issue at the level of the general manager and higher. LeBron James is not in the war room at draft time. LeBron James is not working deals. This is, and I know Magic Johnson isn't there anymore, but I'd put the blame more on Magic than I would put it on LeBron. LeBron is delivering what he's being paid to do when he's on that court.
Okay. In one sense, I agree with you, but one thing. A team of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook should be outdoing a team of Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, and Mike Conley. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, that's actually a perfect transition to what I want to talk about next. Utah is the number 1 team in the West, even after getting rid of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. How is that even possible? Is it because of what we were just talking about, having all of these like support type players, as opposed to $80 million and these superstars that don't do shit? Is it good coaching? What do you think, Caleb? I'll throw it right back to you. What do you think it is about Utah that makes them so much better than the Lakers right now?
It's got to be a locker room thing. They must just gel well. I know they have a team. It's like they just got a bunch of players, kind of threw them together, and then they're just out there playing street ball and winning games. I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily a roster that's going to stay with that level of consistency as it pertains to winning as the season goes on. It's a very long 82-game season. To backtrack on that, though, it is a great start because I did not see the Utah Jazz as they were constructed prior to the season. Like I said, a core of Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, Colin Sexton, Mike Conley, especially Mike Conley. The dude's like 52. Was not
He's good though.
expecting anything. Yeah, he is. He's very good. He was just an all-star for the first time a couple years ago with this Utah team. But you get rid of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. I thought this was going to be a team that tanks. I thought it was going to be the NBA's version of Seattle. I mean, for lack of a better word to say it, I did not think they were going to do anything. But here they are sitting first and pretty atop the Western Conference. And I'm over here looking, I'm like, what, how is this possible? They're out there. They must just like playing with each other. They're coaching these guys really well. I don't know. I really don't have an answer for why they're doing so good. What are you seeing with the Utah Jazz this year?
Well, they're clearly a well-coached team. This team, when they get
Yeah,
out there, they're prepared. They know what they're doing. They get to your point. I think you're exactly right. Where they don't have the splashy names, and certainly we didn't expect them to perform like this while losing such amazing talent that they've lost. But with that being said, I just don't see this ending well for the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, unless there are a superstar or two that develop throughout this season that they learn to lean on and they win some really tough games with, I think they're going to be doomed in the playoffs. This is the NBA. It's a it's a five-person sport at the end of the day. Superstars run this league and dominate.
it's a superstar-led league.
Absolutely. So when I look at the West, I'm looking at a team more like the Denver Nuggets, who are picking up the slack. I think they're 7-3 right now. They're doing really well. You've got the Joker that's playing. Obviously, he's MVP level talent. Jamal is back. And he looks amazing. He's doing Jamal things, and you see the other guys on that team are all stepping up as well. So I think that the West is wide open, and it's a superstar-driven league. So I'm looking at the Nuggets and any run other than Utah Jazz, unfortunately.
I have to agree. I mean, we're only 10% into the season, guys. So, I mean, Utah being number one, that's awesome. I think that's really, congratulations to those guys. Hopefully they can keep it up. I love watching an underdog team do well. But yeah, I mean, Golden State's also 3-7, and I think that they'll turn it
Mm-hmm.
around. So, kind of similar to the NFL, like you get it so far into it, you start to build chemistry, your team outlook changes. So, we'll see what happens. I hope that the Nuggets are the number one in the conference, though. That'll be great. Last topic I want to talk about here is, the Sixers having a bit of a tough start to things. They looked pretty good last year. Unfortunately, they had some injuries late in the season to Joel Embiid and things that really kind of hurt them. Now they're looking at a month for James Harden to return from a foot injury. They're 5-6. Again, I know we're only 10% our way into the season, but are you guys concerned? Do you think that the Sixers are still going to be a contender this year? Not?
I'm not too concerned. I think Philadelphia will be able to weather the storm without Harden. I don't feel like Harden is the same type of scorer that he was 5 years ago, and so that they will be able to replace those 20 points. I know it sounds crazy to say with Harden, but that's about what you've got to replace, 20 to 25 maybe. I think they can weather that storm. This team ultimately will go the way Joel Embiid goes. That's my opinion on it. If Embiid is still playing at an MVP caliber level, then they will be just fine. They have the pieces in place to weather the storm and get them to where they can be okay whenever Harden comes back and make a playoff run.
It's difficult because I'm going to catch some heat for this. I've never been a 100% believer in Embiid or Harden. It comes that neither one of them have led their team to the finals. Yes, I know Harden went to the finals with OKC, but it's I don't know how to explain it without being completely mean. I don't believe in those two as a duo. I think James Harden is past what his scoring prime was. He can still very much so perform. But when you look at the Eastern Conference, you still have Milwaukee, you still have Boston, you have Miami, who I know is kind of struggling right now, but you have Brooklyn. I don't see them getting past. Well, no, I can't even say Brooklyn now because we're not going to go into that. But you have all these teams in the Eastern Conference. They're not. I don't see them as of right now. They're not going to get past teams like Boston. They're not going to get past Milwaukee, especially. I think Milwaukee's destined for another finals run. I don't see as constructed, even with James Harden. I think it is. I think Philly does have something to worry about, even with young rising star Tyrese Maxey. I don't see them making much noise. I could see them being a top three seed, but they're not. They're not going to perform well in the playoffs. That's just what I think. I mean, John, Am I the crazy one here? I know we were looking at Knox saying he talked about he was crazy earlier, talking about Aaron
I,
Rodgers. Am
I
I
don't
crazy
think
for this?
I don't think that you're crazy. I think because I mean, of course, like if we're looking on paper and who is the best player in the NBA, we're gonna look at Giannis and the Bucks, right?
Hmm.
I mean, they look damn good. I think they're 8-1, 9-1, something like that. Giannis was the favorite last year. He should have been. He should be the favorite this
Mm-hmm.
year because they also he has really good pieces next to him in Chris Middleton. What's Drew Holiday?
Drew Holiday.
So yeah, like they're a good team for sure. I'm not saying that like Philly is going to be the favorite in that conference. I'm just saying I think and y'all know before we ever had a podcast, I've always been very critical of James Harden. I don't have a lot of faith in him either, so I agree with you on that part. But Joel Embiid's a different kind of monster, and I'm not just saying that because he went to KU. I mean, the dude. Uh, I'm a Nuggets fan, and I honestly thought he should have got the MVP over Jokic last year. I genuinely think that it's awesome that my guy got it, but I mean, Embiid is that dude, and he plays a position that if he's getting boards and scoring, like they can win against anybody. He just needs one or two people to do something. So with Tyrese Maxey coming up, and if James Harden is healthy at the end of the season and can put up 25, 30 points, they're just as good a contender as anybody. Of course, I'm going to say I believe in the Bucks more, but I do think that the Sixers can bounce back from a 5-6 start. I think it's all going to depend on how many L's they take over this next month with James Harden gone. It's going to depend on some of the trades that they make to fill in their gaps. But yeah, I think that they for sure are going to be a top 3 seed in the conference. To answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what Caleb said. But, the question was when you asked it, like, will they be able to bounce back? And I think if you're a top 3 seed going into the playoffs, you've certainly bounced back. So,
You bounce back.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Embiid is to your point, PK. Embiid is one of the best big men in the league. And you got Giannis ahead of him, but Giannis, you kind of look at Giannis like you look at LeBron or like a Kevin Durant. They're just tall and rangy and can kind of do it all. But Embiid is the best post player in the league.
Mhm.
And you got to put Joker on that list. But yeah, they will go the way Embiid goes. And if Embiid is still dominating on the rebounds, if he's dominating scoring in the paint, if he is still down there blocking shots, I think that they'll definitely still be in the running and make the playoffs, no question.
I'd really like to see it for the Sixers because they are just a team that has had some of the worst luck, at least in my lifetime of watching the NBA. They get all of these number one picks. They get all this talent that either doesn't want to be there or can't get through a season without having availability issues. So I'd really like to see Joel put that team on his back and ball out. I'd like to see him do well without Harden and hopefully be able to do something this season because it's almost sad to watch at this
Be
point.
nice if we could get AD to play anything like that. And he should be. He should be
No,
playing at the level
absolutely.
that Embiid is capable of. AD should be playing that good, and AD is frustrating to see.
Hey, the kind of contract that AD's got, I'll tell you what.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be the first. I'm gonna be the first one to say this. All right. There's always a lot of crazy hypotheses with who's getting traded where. When AD's contract is up, the Lakers will go after Joel Embiid, and Joel may take it because
Uh,
they will have the cap space when they get rid of Westbrook after this season. I think AD next season. I'm just saying. I'm gonna be the first one to call it. Just want to let y'all know when season 3 drops, and I bring this up. That's what it is.
it's your turn to look crazy because what just came out of your mouth? Oh man, I
Hey, listen.
I personally don't see that happening, but hey,
I would love to see it happen. They need. I mean, it'd be better than AD and Westbrook, obviously.
it's crazy. I'm sorry, I'm over here just thinking. It's just crazy to me how bad that team is. And talking about the
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lakers.
and when you look at
Oh
the
yeah,
players
yeah,
that are
for sure.
underwhelming, yeah, LeBron is not the Heat LeBron. Okay, I get it, but he's still LeBron, baby. He's still one of
He's
the
still
best players in
LeBron.
the league. Westbrook, that's what they call him now, and it's not even like you don't even giggle every time you say it. Like it's just his name now, And AD, please, he's not even close to Hall of Famer. Not even close to even in the conversation. You're like, oh, there's way too much time. I mean, he's like Greg Oden almost. Like the
He's a
guy's,
first ballot disappointment.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's just unfortunate to see because when they put that team together, I was so excited. I thought we were getting AD with the Pelicans. You know, they should have kept Brandon Ingram.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They should have kept Ingram. They should have kept Ingram. They should have kept Lonzo Ball. I think. And now Lonzo Ball, he's had a lot of health issues, but Brandon Ingram for sure. The
Yeah.
Lakers, I feel like, should have kept him.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, guys. I mean, obviously, I'm rooting. Nuggets are the number one squad out here, but I'm always rooting for the Lakers and LeBron to do well. I hope that they can turn it around. I hope the Sixers will turn it around because, I want to see something get shaken up in this league this season. So, we'll hope for the best. But that pretty much is the end of our time today. I think that it's been an awesome episode. Thank you guys for being on once again, and thank you to everybody that's watching. As always, if you look below in the bio, you will see all of the links to our sports books. So if you have any bets going on for NFL or NBA games, be sure to use those promo codes. They'll give you some free bets, things like that. But until next week, see you guys later. Appreciate you.